Good morning, everyone. So thank you, May, and thank you. First of all, I would like to thank Untitled Chapter and Nippon Paint for giving me the opportunity to be here. So I'm Howie, a graduate architect. Today I'm going to talk about 空间, which means space. So the space is the basic elements of architecture. So to me, to design a space, we always have to study the relationships between man, nature, and architecture. So during my university time, we are all taught to design sustainable buildings. But this term has been spreading in the construction industry until today. But how many of our current industry has established itself? So to define sustainability, so it is not just about reducing energy or the waste, but the sustainable buildings, it must be defined in a way that the people, the community itself who are inhabiting them for their living, which influence their daily experience. So for examples, for a sustainable development, the idea and the concept of the sustainability should not be confined in just the building itself, but it should be considered in a larger scale until the neighborhood or even up to urban scale. So throughout my architecture journey until today, I am still learning, and I am glad that I have participated in AYDA Asia Young Design Awards. So I realized throughout the AYDA platform, I have realized the importance of the key design criteria, which are sustainability and always have the heart for the communities. So which have been guiding me throughout my design developments until today. So Bridging Us, the urban eco community, is the first project that I'm going to talk about, which is also the project that I had participated during the year of 2015 at YDA. So it is basically talking about a story of to discover an old interest, to bring back the memories and enjoy, to bring back the memories of paper handmaking while engaging the communities with the natural environments. So in the design proposal, the creative industry is where the community to live, to work, and to play. So the design is derived by different layering of communal spaces. So in the proposal, so there are industry, residence, and commercial buildings within the same developments. So to prevent the isolation in terms of the planning, so what I did is actually trying to have every 2 units to share a pocket courtyards. So each pocket courtyards eventually have their different function and activities depending on where they are located. And so as you can see, the pocket courtyard on every 2 different units, however, have ignite the communal area and enhance the social interactions. The activity will be further extending from the indoor towards outside, so to the central communal parks. So it is a space not only for the residents and workers, but also to invite the public to use the space for it to learn and chat over here. So as you can see, the rain garden and pavement in front of the pocket courtyards is trying to create a strong axis towards the central park outside. So it actually tends to bring the people to work both inside and outside the space. So the development also welcome public to visit the development to learn about this sustainable way of paper handmaking. So this is a place where they utilize the harvested rainwater for their paper making process. So in order to minimize the environmental impact, while walking under these natural environment settings with their beloved communities. So these pocket courtyards, other than they enhance the social interaction, they bridge the neighborhood together, but most importantly, the pocket courtyard in between the units is actually served for the second function, which is the rainwater for the paper-making process. So any water that will collected through this pocket courtyard, eventually they will go through the filtration through the rainwater gardens below, and hence this is the water catchment area that it actually will be used for their paper making process later on. So any excess water will actually will collect here. So instead of using any fresh water, we try to use the harvested rainwater with treated water to replace them. So as for the building facade itself, those handmade paper will be clipped and hang in front, just in front of their units. So while it actually provides a privacy for their shady communal spaces inside, and it also helps to reduce the building solar gain at the same time. So this is the paper hanging system in front of balconies. So the resident can pull. It's actually introducing a very practical system where they can pull the rain chain. This rain chain is to work together with the trolley, so they can pull the rain chain just to convey the just to convey the paper vertically without they travel up and down. So after the paper are dry, so this is where the communal balcony they will be working on with their neighbors. So eventually, if there is no paper activities, this is also where they interact with their adjacent neighbors and their communities. So basically, this is a project about this urban eco-community. So to me, this urban eco-community is where they work and live with their beloved families and neighbors while able to engage with the natural environments. The second project that I'm going to talk about is Living Water Education Center. Is also adopting the same idea where I'm trying to guide through the project like the sustainability. But what can we do other than just sustainability? How can we define them? So in this project, the project aims is trying to integrate both the built environment with the waters and the green as part of not only for us, the human needs, but most important, the contribution has to be back to the environmental sustainability and biodiversity, which will contribute to our entire ecosystems. So a little bit info of the site. The site has 2.3 acres. So in order to integrate with the blue and green, as I mentioned just now, the site has to be a permeable design. So there will be the permeable design. In terms of permeable design, the porous surface will become a giant sponge to capture the rainwater and the surface runoff before they discharge to the surrounding. So because the site is actually located in urban area, so the surface runoff eventually become a very serious issue as they are very contaminated. So that's why the permeable design is applied in the site. So the site also next to a future urban park. Therefore, the ground floor is actually designed to be openly welcome for the surrounding itself to explore the space freely. And as I mentioned, since the site is actually located in urban area, the surface runoff is usually highly contaminated. So the site also having a little bit information, the site also having a flash flood. So especially there is any heavy rainfall. So during the day, the pedestrian in front of the site is actually where they leads the human to the surroundings. But during the rain days, this sunken lane, the lane for the pedestrian and bike lane will convert or transform into a canal that captures the contaminated surface runoff. And this surface runoff will then be channeled to the nearest point. It could be a park, but to this site, a water square has been introduced in order to reduce the environmental impact, to slow down the flash flood effect. So before they eventually will discharge to the surrounding rivers. So once the surface runoff they have been captured, they will go through a series of cascading terraces for the biological natural treatments and for the temporary storage, and then they will be slowly discharged after the raining events. So that is why the water square is introduced to this site in order to resolve the surrounding environmental issues. But other than the environmental sustainability, but most important, this water square, in fact, it actually contributes to the urban area. So with a healthy blue-green public space. So meaning to say, during the raining day, it will become a flood resilience design. But during the day or dry seasons, this water square will eventually there is no water, so it will become a cascading terrace for the public, for the surrounding communities to cater any activities or events. So basically, the design is inspired by nature. So the water, if you see for the terrains, the water actually works well with the nature and gain the benefit for every layers of the terrains. So in terms of architecture, why not we try to integrate both the water and nature into the space for a self-sustained ecosystem within and outside the space, or eventually our built environments. So since the design is inspired by the natural form, the space is imitating this natural form where the spiral effect has started to give organic interpretations for the building itself. So with this, you can observe that the layers and the space are interconnected. So with this continuity of the space, so when the visitors first approach to the buildings, they actually able to go through the spaces through a pedagogical journey. So as they going through the series of the space, it will be starting to introduce what is the process, what is the space that they will reveal to this water infiltration, because the water infiltration will follow the gravitational force from the top to the bottom. And when they visit, they will know that this pedagogical journey to explain on how the hydrological cycle works and to create an awareness, most importantly. So also each different platform, they are all not only interconnected, but they also will try to integrate with the blue and green, both not only inside but outside as well. So this is in order to create a dialogue between the user or the visitor with the ecological system. The design intended to let the water flow or we let the water in. That is why the design is cascading in order to maximize the rainwater catchments. So instead of we hiding all the water in a pipe, so we try to reveal the process by converting them from pipe into a spaces. So these kind of spaces, we try to reveal them for people to feel them. So through this cascading terrace, they are not only a terrace for the catchment, they are also a space. It can be a workshop to reveal what is the process. And in this new way as we transform them into a usable space, so the user able to know more, to create an awareness and educate them by changing the water visibility status into where they can feel, to touch, to even listen to the waters. So this outdoor terrace is not only to maximize the rainwater catchments, but it also intentionally to utilize the harvested rainwater they will be stored here, and eventually they're able to cool down the building, not only the outside, but most importantly in Malaysia weather, we are mostly contribute to the aircon. We are very depending on the aircon. But what if we able to substitute them by using the natural element, which is water? So it actually able to reduce the, in a way, it actually able to contribute to the sustainability of the surroundings. And with these blue and green ecosystems, the evaporative cooling effect is also able to reduce the surrounding temperature, and it can reduce the heat island effect, especially in this urban area. So architecturally, the design tries to interpret the terrain form into a friendly space for the user. For example, this transformable auditorium, as you can see, the extension of auditorium can be done towards the continuity of the terrain above if there is any bigger function required. So these continuity spaces is not only a circulations, but we are trying to interpret them into a usable space as well. So this is a water screen that they utilize in the indoor after the harvested waters. So for cooling purpose, while if there's any screening functions, this will be a backdrop for the screens. So throughout the blue and green integrations, not only the outdoor, but we're trying to bring into the space themselves. As this hydrophilic space, it actually can provide an integrated environment for the people who are using the space. So for them to work, to learn, but most importantly, in this environment, they can appreciate the environment. So the design is mainly designed to be opened. So this open plan design is intended to open to its environments where the perimeter terrace surrounding of the buildings, as on this floor plan, had become an extension of the space. We're trying to promote the users to use the space both inside and outside rather than confined into just a single rooms. So this is to ensure the user who are using the space getting closer to the surrounding nature environment, even while they are using in the space without traveling. So, yeah. So when there is any running events, this perimeter terrace eventually will transform into a rainwater catchment platform. So for the storage, which is for cooling purpose later on. So when there is any dry seasons, this balcony, as I mentioned, it will become an informal extension space for the user to extend the activity to using out, both inside out. Blue didn't. So to me, it's not enough to create a sustainability building, but most important, the ecological should be part of our human experience within the built environments. So last but not least, I would like to talk about one of my current office project from Gary's Architect. So this project has just started construction 2 months ago, and I feel very lucky to have this project, as not many big projects able to comply with any sustainable feature, and this is one of it. So let me introduce, this is Courtyard Apartments. And this apartment design is specially designed catered for the students. So the site is actually located in Nilai, Seremban. As you can see, this purpose zoning is mostly all the colleges and university, and the site eventually become the midpoint to all these universities. So nowadays, most of our condo or apartment are using the double loaded corridor, where you open the door, you see another unit just in front of you. But this kind of corridor usually is only for walkway without any interaction with your neighbors. So in this design, we try to omit that bad culture. Instead of double corridor, we convert it into a single loaded corridor. So where this circulation eventually has become their interaction platform. and also for better ventilation. And the linkage at the center, or we call it a staircase, turned out to be a student's meeting point. So as for the void, there will be 4 different voids, mini courtyard, to cater 4 different corners. And the bigger one at the center will be their community nodes. So this apartment is trying to enhance the student relationships or interaction by inject the student activities on the 4 corners of the mini courtyards. So for example, there are landscape ramps or the internal courtyard. And eventually with these implementations, this courtyard also promote an effective stack effect and natural ventilations. So there will be four mini courtyards on the 4 corners for the students to have their student activities for social and cultural exchange. And the interesting point is that since the project is located in the midpoint of all the university and colleges, this apartment actually promote bicycle as their main transportations. So in this linkage, where there will be a built-in bicycle for the students or residents to cycle. So as they cycle, they gain the energy, and this energy therefore can be plugged in for any relevant device. So what I like about this project is that it's already beyond sustainability, but to promote a healthy lifestyle for the residents and students within the communities. It also able to reduce the carbon footprint for the environments. So this is some of the intervention has been done by the BGBG team, which we are collaborating with them. Like they have done the bicycle to cycle to charge your phone or music stations. And currently we are still developing the ideas with BGBG. So courtyard apartment is not only providing a space just for them to live, but more important, it's a space where they can promote sustainability and also a healthy lifestyle for the community itself. And lastly, I would like to conclude that the sustainability is the criteria that we should be considered in the design developments. So of course, it is not only about the sustainability itself, but we as a designer, we must always think from the perspective from the that it always has a contribution for the communities and always have a heart for them, and where the community able to experience the space every day. And in return, this sustainability, in fact, they can actually create a healthy lifestyle and balanced biodiversity for our built environments. So thank you, Tulani.